Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Thanks for joining us this week. So this week's video, we're going to sit down and talk to you guys just about life in general and how it was growing up and
tips and tricks. Kind of. I mean.
We don't have any tips and tricks, but what we did when we were younger and how it was. So all the good and all the bad things. We're just going to do a quick rundown. We're not going to say everything because we'd be here for days.
Yep, and give you a little bit of a rundown how it was growing up in the Mennonite culture. I don't even like to say that because, you know, everybody that's a Christian, we're all Christians, we're all the same. It's just, I guess, our title. I don't really know. But anyways.
Well, we are living a Mennonite lifestyle, so I mean, that was part of us. That is part of us.
It's part of who we are, yes. It gives a name to our beliefs, I guess.
It is part of how we dress every day and stuff like that. So anyways, that's beside the point. I don't know what that rambling was about, but so that's what we're going to talk about. I don't know where we're going to start, but that's where we're going to start.
We're kind of just winging it, you know. Kind of like we're talking face to face, except we're doing all the talking. So
yeah, like you guys could help us out.
Really, you could. You can comment down if we skip something that you're like, oh man, they should have said that,
or like not should
have
said,
be pretty
but like
scatterbrained.
Also, if there's something that you want us to go on, like
more detail
about,
so I'm sure be a run
we
by.
could do that.
Anyways.
Starting out, there was 4 of us. I don't know if we ever said that. We probably did,
I don't know.
But we're going to say it again because there's a few new people. 4 of us kids. I'm like, I guess you would consider the middle child. Not really, but
halfish, middle.
So there's 2 older brothers above us, and then it's just us 2. And we're kind of all spread out. Not really. The 2 older ones are closer in age. And then it's like me after a little bit, and then it's her after a little bit. So we kind of
there'd be like 2 years.
Yeah, I know, but it's not like we're super close. We start like thinning out.
Yeah, and then I'm like 4 years behind.
So
she's not as bad as some people.
So growing up, I would say for a while, it was the 3 older ones would like play together lots and get mad at each other and all that good stuff, and then she's just tagged along after. And then it was like we kind of, me and you, there was a time of age where we actually played together, and then it was like I think I got to the age where I was like old enough that it was like
didn't want to be bothered by me.
Too cool or something. I don't know that I ever thought that, but I guess you just kind of grow up and you do different stuff to them when you were like 5 or something like that. So we kind of didn't play with each other. Now we are like
best friends, so
having fun times now. So I guess there was just part of that time where we didn't do a whole lot together.
Yep.
I don't know. We played with our cousins and that was our friends or something. I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, so we had fun. We definitely had our fair shares of arguments.
But I guess that's just part of life.
Part of childhood. I don't know that there would be any childhood that would be. It'd be a boring childhood if you didn't actually.
We fought so much that we had to have little charts that if we didn't fight that day, we got a sticker.
Yeah.
So that helped. Just if you have kids that fight a lot or something, that's one idea.
There was lots of pranks involved in our childhood. Our brothers would always be playing funny pranks on us.
Her favorite pen got lost.
Yeah, anyways, they played a trick on me and thought this pen wouldn't disappear, which I think innocently they didn't think it was going to disappear, but it like fell down into a hole, and it's still down there in our basement. So
yep,
someday I guess if the house falls apart then we can look now. But we had lots of funny ones that happened to us. Yeah. But it was all good ones too. Like we aren't like mad at each other.
No, we look back and
laugh. We're like, we are so
fighting over that. Like, that's dumb.
Anyways. So good times. I would say one of my favorite memories of growing up and just throughout the whole my life is all the traveling we did. We did a fair amount. We didn't, I would say,
it's one thing our dad really likes is to take us traveling. That's his love language. Just to.
I'd say it wasn't before, like 5 years ago was when we started traveling overseas and
that was more just me and you.
Yeah, well, and the family too. Like our first ever time flying was on my graduation, so we didn't start doing that until we were older, and our parents were more financially able to do that as well. Like we weren't always able to, so we would do lots of road trips to Tennessee, Montana.
Oh yeah, Tennessee. We would go there about once a year. We did that for a few years.
Yeah,
and went out to all those shows down there.
So I would say that was probably one of my most favorite things. Like maybe why I love traveling too. Like we always would go hit a bunch of states, going to Montana or Tennessee. We just hit a bunch of fun things, and we went down to Florida and all the places. And growing up, we have really nothing to grumble about, really, because we have both parents were very
loving,
and they were, what's the word I'm trying to think of? They were there for everything we did, like school stuff, and they were very involved. That's the word, involved with our life. So
it helped that our mom taught. Well, she probably taught me all my years growing up. So
her first year of school, which would have been like however many years ago, we're not gonna do math right now.
Like
she would have started. She would have started teaching back then, and it wasn't going to be a full-time thing ever. Like it was just she was gonna finish out substitute for a year because we were all in school, and why not? Like,
well, I don't think I was in school. Like, I had to go.
It was more kindergarten.
I stayed with my cousin while she was teaching.
I think it was partly kindergarten, or no?
I don't think the first year.
Okay.
I would sometimes still go in with her though, and
you just were there.
Yeah.
Because she was there. Anyways, so she was very involved in the school before then because of me and my brothers and I, if you want to do actual English. And so I would say after that, there was definitely some, like once she started teaching, there was definitely some hard, like we had some hard stuff to work through, like the balance of mom teaching and then coming home and we all have to pitch in and help. And we'll say, like, we were not that thrilled all the time as to like do chores when we come home. So even before like little up, I remember chores were always something that if we said we were bored, that's what we would do. So sometimes we were like, why do we have to do it now? So one fun thing is that we did, I don't know if you want to explain what we did, because I feel like
since we had to always help do chores and stuff, when we got home from school we would start cleaning. But to make it fun, Mom's like, okay, let's put all the cleaning chores in a bucket, and then we can put like some fun things, whether it's play a round of memory or eat a snack, or I don't know, just random fun things we thought were fun as little kids. And so then it just, you know, added some spunk to the cleaning. And it just, like, what are we going to draw next?
I will say, I feel like we did that really long into the years of our life.
We just kind of enjoyed it. Not every time.
No, definitely not.
We had lots of time.
If we were, like, maybe grumbling about it or something, and it's like, well, we're tired, then she would, like, make it fun, and then we'd be all happy and want to do everything.
So, there's another tip.
And so, like, I will say I said we did it far into the years of our lives, but the thing has changed. We're not going to be playing memory when we're 15. Like it might be read a book or something fun that we like to do, and we would put it in just for something fun.
Yeah, that was one thing we did do. Me and Mom would read a book for 10 minutes, and Kaylee wouldn't. But
I don't know what I did actually. I truthfully don't. Just lay there, I guess. I don't know. Act like I was reading a book. So I would say that was the hardest for whenever she started teaching, and I don't know how moms do it, like teaching and then coming home and being, it's crazy. Teachers should be paid way more and thanked way more than they actually are. That's a whole nother tangent we could go on to.
Seeing the back story of that all, but
back end of of teachers. Like, I'm sure everybody's household looks a little bit different whenever they have a teacher in it, but most of our family was a teacher at one point, other than me and my dad, or my dad and I. So like it was, and I maybe substituted for one day. So I guess we're not just kidding. That's not even considered. Anyways, but we definitely seen a lot, and we're always. That's a whole nother subject we could do.
Yeah, which we did have a video on some school stuff that you could go check out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And for me, school wasn't always that fun. I don't know about Shelly, but school was definitely not.
I liked the book parts, but I didn't like the people part.
My weird strong suit. I was always like, from first grade to I don't know what grade it was, I was like, I can do this. It was like easy, and then I don't know what grade it hit, and I was like, this sucks. And also, like, part of like the first like couple years of my school year, I was always sick too. So I'm not sure how I enjoyed the first couple of years if I was always sick at home. Like, I had health problems the whole way back when I was like 7, and I still thought school was fun, although I was terrified for my first year of school. That was terrifying. Anyways, but to 10th grade or something, and then I was like, this is dumb. Why am I going to school? But then I was like, I'm going to stick it out. I have to graduate, and I'm so thankful I did. And I think it was partly just because I didn't really understand math and just change of life.
Yeah.
I just was mad at everything. Just kidding.
And normally the Mennonite culture will have a school that's their church school, but ours really isn't our church school, so that's just like another thing that we're a little bit different there, but yeah.
So it was always like changing, like families would come and go one year and then leave the next year because they move or whatever, and it probably happens in church schools too that way, but there was a lot more because we'd have community kids coming in, and I like loved the years that community kids would come in. I mean, there was something about it. It was great, and I don't really remember any bad memories or horror memories.
Sometimes it's good to have different varieties, because sometimes when it's just all Mennonites, that's one thing that can
small bubble or something.
This one thing us Mennonites could work at, and one thing that I don't always agree on is that we are kind of can be cliquish, and it's
standoff.
It's not like we want to be that way.
So do you have anything else to add about school?
Not really. I guess we could kind of go into church.
Yeah.
I mean, growing up is kind of like a regular church. You have like preschool, primary.
I will say the beginning of our first couple years of our life, we went to a completely different church than we are going to now. Clear up to I
think I was like
first
2 when
grade.
we switched.
Wouldn't have been first grade.
I was 2, so yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
17 years ago.
Long time ago.
We switched to church.
So we switched churches, and it was now we've been with this church for a very long time, and
17 years.
If we want to be exact. Anyways, but just it's always been a small independent church, Mennonite church, and back in the woods, they kind of just off by our lonesome. Church was always important. Like, we definitely tried to be there as much as we could. Now, we're not gonna be like, if we're on vacation or something, we're not gonna try to be back for church on Sunday. Like, if we're not that sounds bad. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but but church is very important to us, but it's not like we're there every Sunday, if that makes any sense.
And some things that would be more or less
For our church.
like in Mennonite churches would be that we would believe in covering our heads, like 1 Corinthians 11 says, and
Dressing modestly, and that can look differently for everybody. Like
and like
for
we're not
Mennonite churches in general, like the veiling, they don't all look like what we wear, and the dressing modest. That's just to every church. They kind of decide.
And I mean,
like they should do.
We have some rules just so that. Just like any church,
I think
any church has
some rules,
some standards.
Make the Bible, certain Bible you read, like their standards can look different to everybody's, but most of the time Mennonite churches would do the modesty and covering the head.
Yeah, and now us personally, we don't always feel that cape dresses is the only way to modesty. That's not,
and we don't always wear them all the time either. Like it's just there's also personal convictions too, so that's another whole thing that you could jabber about. And if we want to go into a deeper subject and you would like to know what our personal convictions of some of that stuff is, we can definitely do that. But
today it's just kind of a rundown of everything.
A quick view of our childhood. Yikes. What else? We're really good. Mennonite churches are also really good at having meals. Like Mennonite churches are good. I told Mom one time, I was like, Mennonite churches are good at having committees. So like if you are planning something, there's always committee of some sort. That just never fails.
Committee.
Any kind of committee you can think of under the sun. And we're good at making food and getting food to people, which is great. But sometimes I feel like we do just a little bit overboard. Like
sometimes it's like food again.
Anyways, but it's those two things that also Mennonites are really good at. We're always like sharing each other's food. And anyways, it's just great. It's just funny. Different cultures. Anyways, little tangent there that sometimes. And there's one other thing I said too that we're really good at, but I can't remember that right now at this moment. But
and like our church would also have different jobs, like they will take turns teaching Sunday school and devotions and song leading and
all the things. So
sometimes we
didn't start teaching school or Sunday school until it was like in youth years,
16 or so.
So that's partly what our church does, and just having get-togethers with other families and fellowship.
Yep.
We're good at more food. Everything centers around food. That's another thing. We share each other's food, but we're like every gathering we have, there's food involved. Like we're not just going to hang out and talk and having fun and doing games. There's always food involved, whether it's just a snack or an actual meal.
Yeah, which I guess that's one way you can fellowship is over food. So
they say the best way to fellowship is over food, so I guess we
nailed that.
Back whenever the church started, we were like one of the first families, and we're still there, which is kind of crazy. Mom and Dad were just saying the other day they feel like they're one of the older people in the church, and I was like, oh dear, that's scary. But it's also a good thing because that means our church house is growing. I mean, like, if we didn't have any new young people in the church, that would be boring. It would be like just a couple people, because that's what it started out, just a couple people in someone's basement. So,
I guess we kind of covered the church of our lives, so kind of back to like home life. I don't really know how we filled our days, really. I mean, work.
That was the thing. Like, we either played where we worked.
Like if we said we were bored,
or read a book, like we had to be doing something. Like
if we said we were
not
bored, we would be working in the next minute.
Yeah, there was like we were always having to figure out something to do because it's not like we could just sit around and be bored and say we're bored because we would be screwed.
And I think that's like I mean, back then it might have been a little annoying, but now I look back and I'm glad because it taught me how to work hard, and so now
we would garden. Like we had a big garden, pick a bunch of strawberries and sell them. So that was a thing we did for like work. Our least favorite thing, probably.
Yes.
Used to do weed and like, cause that was also another thing we would do when we get home from school is go down, weed the flower beds, and pick strawberries. And it was just like the least favorite thing you would want to do, but like mom had to do it too, so like we all had to pitch in to help. But it was like
yeah, but
strawberry fights.
The last few years we really haven't had that much of a garden. We kind of got out of it. But yeah, we used to sell strawberries, and everybody in our neighborhood was like coming in buying strawberries, and so I guess we met our neighbors that way.
We did. We sold a lot. We'd take our wagon around and be like, how much do you want? Or took the car, or had a stand out at the end of our lane, and it was kind of, honestly, we were like having a little business bang in here. We stopped that. And then we like stopped it, and then a couple of years later inflation happened and the prices went up with strawberries, and we were like, dude, we should have kept going. No. We missed out on a good business. No, just kidding. Anyways, sometimes I do miss actually picking the strawberries and eating the fresh ones, but
and I guess me and Kaylee got our first job like when we were 11 or something.
What was that?
I was 11, you would have been whenever you were.
What was our first job?
Working for an older lady.
Oh,
Picked her. So after school, sometimes we would go pick weeds or
mow the lawn.
We didn't mow the lawn.
I did.
Oh, for a different lady. That was for a different lady.
Yeah. So we kind of like
helped our neighbors in that way. And we cleaned our dad's shop, and
we found a job early on. We were like gonna earn some money.
Yep.
And then kind of I started cleaning like before I was out of school, before I graduated, I started cleaning and doing that, and then took a few years. Well, I wouldn't say even took a few years, probably just took like a year and a half, and then all of a sudden I had too many I couldn't keep up with.
Yeah, I still remember you were like, oh, when will people ever come?
And then all of a sudden it was like, can you come help me? And I'm like, yes. But like some of those jobs, they have moved on and I don't clean for them anymore, but there's some that have been like steadily like my first jobs, like I still have, so it's actually kind of cool.
Yeah. Me? I'm just kind of a floater. Had my toes in many waters.
Yep. And then we both are dealing with our own journey of health problems and all of that good stuff, so I will say I'm just gonna sum it up. For like 10 years for me, for sure, was and before that, because like I said earlier, I always had some problem with being sick because of some reason. And so for the last 10 years, dealing with eczema and trying to figure out what all that entails was like, and it still is very hard to balance life and figure out that. And
whole another video she'll do someday.
Yeah, I'm hoping to. I just am still trying to figure out what all I'm going to share and when I'm going to share it and all the things, because there's just a lot of stuff. But yeah, flight, or what do they call that? You were in fight or flight mode. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but it's whenever you feel like, Shelly's like, new to me. No, but it's whenever you like, your body is like working so hard to be okay. That's not the right definition. Someone that knows the definition, put it down below, because I know what it is, but I can't think of what I'm trying to say. So, but it wasn't, I was in that state, and so I'm still in that, trying to figure it out. So someday, hopefully. I was really confident at the beginning of the year, this year, that life was going to be great. And then, like, you guys seen in the videos earlier this year, that was not the case. I was pretty sick, so. About you? You still doing good? Enough of me.
Moving on.
Next.
Well, I kind of had a video of my struggles, so it's still ups and downs, so.
It's down below too if you have listened to that. We're so good at talking about our life. It's probably
So,
the worst ever talking about
this
our life.
video was probably very random,
Maybe boring to some, but hey,
turn it on while you're cleaning the house or something. This is at the end of the video, so you probably already did that. I don't know. Anyway.
Like you probably gave up.
Yeah.
Like 2 of you watching out there.
But if
thanks for the 2 that are watching.
If you stayed till the end, thank you for watching.
Jabberingness.
And the 2 that did stay, you can comment down below any questions you have about our rambles.
Or where you want us to talk about more. Because really all the subjects we covered. We could talk a whole subject about them because we're so passionate about it. So like we could talk like a whole thing about
really
anything.
Comment anything.
And like our childhood was not that exciting. If we come to think of it. Like,
it's not like we had traumatic things happen.
Although I will say we did have some traumatic things. First of all, we had a few times episodes that Mom would be really sick that we didn't know if she was gonna make it. And then we flip-flopped, and then it went to our dad, and we for sure didn't think he was gonna make it.
True, I guess we did.
And so we had some very traumatic things, and our grandparents were like really sick sometimes, and we thought they weren't gonna make it. They're all still here, all 4 of them. So it's just weird.
Yeah.
Like we could go into subjects of that because that was pretty traumatic, I will say. Like our grandpa had surgery on his
head,
brain surgery. It was a whole thing, but did surgery on his head, and so that was kind of traumatic. And
so I
didn't feel too traumatized, but I did feel traumatized.
I did not like the
hospital.
Well, because I wasn't in school yet. She was already in school. I went along to go see him, and that was kind of traumatic because I was like this 5-year-old in the hospital, and everybody was crying, and I was like, what's happening?
So we definitely had some traumatic things.
Yep.
Some of them more recent years, and then some of them were when we, like that incident was when we were younger, and then Mom, there was one where we were like mid-aged, I'd say, like mid-age of like where we are now in life. We're not mid-aged people, we're not 40 folks. But yeah, we definitely had that, so that definitely added some interesting times where uncles and actually come to think of it, we had a lot of things. But we're not going to talk about But we're not going to talk about that because some of it's not our stories, but like
that was our
sums
life.
up.
Thanks for watching.
Travel buddies now.
Yep, travel the world.
That's what we're gonna do, folks. But thanks for watching this week's video. Hopefully you enjoyed us jabbering and not really making any sense. But thanks for doing that.
Comment down below.
Yep, and we will see you next week. Bye.